Welcome to my Dimmu Borgir album ranking. The cover presentation is handled again by Melanie today. I found that Dimmu Borgir's output was easy to divide for me in the top 5 and the bottom 5, although the ranking among these 5 is oftentimes very close. Abrahadabra, even if I decided to put it on the last place, is not a bad album. It has its moments. My favorite tracks are Born Treacherous and Gateways, which sound sinister and exciting. But there are also tracks which are a confused mess, for example Ritualist and The Demiurge Molecule. There are a lot of interesting bits and pieces, but altogether they don't make a round album, which had worked so well for the band on Death Cult Armageddon, for example. From the band photos on the debut album, you might think Dimmu Borgir started as a bunch of insane speed freaks, but actually, for all Teed, is a rather quiet and melancholic album with plenty of keyboards. In an interview with Ablaze magazine, Brynjard calls the production a low-budget, unprofessional recording. Indeed, it reveals good ideas, but didn't fully bring them across yet, especially the drums are lacking power. So I have to place this in the lower half of my ranking. In 2005, the 90s were not so long ago. Stormblast was by no means an old album, only 9 years had passed since the original. But the budgets and technical possibilities for the band had massively improved, so Dimmu Borgir attempted to re-record Stormblast entirely. Some tracks like Da den Kristne satte livet til are still pretty similar and just got a production update. Others like Alt lys sinnet hen sound so different you hardly recognize them. In the best cases, for example with Broderskapets Ring, it sounds much bigger in the new version, but also captures the essence of the old song. Altogether, Stormblast 2005 is somehow lacking the cult factor. The early black metal feeling isn't there anymore. In 1996, Black Mass magazine put Stormblast as Album of the Month on position 1 in their soundcheck. I quote from their review, "Unholy forces beyond human imagination, a masterpiece with infinitely tight atmosphere, one of the best black metal albums of all time." Dimmu Borgir themselves considered Stormblast a rushed job under pressure of time. Later they disliked the result to the degree that they re-recorded the whole disc, as I already mentioned. Today, the original Stormblast is respected by many black metal fans as probably the least commercial album of the band, still sung in Norwegian language. Personally, I'd rather say I have a weak spot for this album because it's not so professional but amateurish in an interesting and passionate way. Even if some tunes like the pedestrian Dødsfjord are surely not among the best stuff they ever wrote. The live album, Forces of the Northern Night, had been recorded a couple of years earlier, so its release seemed like an attempt to fill the gap of 8 years between two studio albums. The problem with the long wait is that your expectations are rising, and when Eonian finally hit the shops, it could not entirely fulfill them. It was good, but not blowing the previous albums out of the water. Interdimensional Summit, for example, is a tune which sounds playful and almost happy. Happy is a pretty harsh word for a black metal band, but I'm really missing some aggression here. My favorite tracks are Lightbringer and Archaic Correspondence, with some great lyrics about the passage from life to death. Musically, Eonian altogether has a better flow than Abrahadabra. Eonian itself is 7 years old by now, and in the most recent interview with the band I've read in Legacy magazine, they announced a new album is finally in the making. Honestly, I haven't got so high expectations in a follow-up to Eonian anymore, whenever it will be released, but surprises do happen. Now to the top 5. Before this album came an EP called Godless Savage Garden, with a couple of live tracks which proved this was a great time for the band, drawing bigger and bigger audiences on every tour. Spiritual Black Dimensions continued very well from there. The development towards symphonic metal went further than before on songs like Dreamside Dominions, while also traditional metal guitars had room and united in Unhallowed Grace. With this album, Dimmu Borgir finally went for the big production values. Both Godless Savage Garden and Spiritual Black Dimensions were produced by Peter Tegtgren, who had put his main band Hypocrisy temporarily to rest after the album The Final Chapter. In an interview with Nordic Vision, Asteno said, "It's a very brutal black metal album, more straight to the point, very heavy and mature. And it's definitely enjoyable." Insorte Diaboli is what I call Dimmu Borgir's King Diamond album, because it absorbs you from the first to the last track. It tells the story of a nameless priest who abjures his faith and becomes a heretic. The amazing CD edition has the lyrics printed upside down, so you've got to read them with a mirror, and with all that artwork, it provides an occult experience as much as possible. They really put a lot of thought into this. In songs like Indoctrination and Absolute Soul Right, Dimmu are cranking up the metal aggression somewhat. I like it when things are not getting too operatic all the time. The album is stronger on variety than some others. Galder from Old Man's Child had joined them on guitar. His input is not to be underestimated. Check out his other band if you didn't do that yet. In an interview with Nordic Vision, Shagrath praised this current lineup as the best ever, and I won't argue with that. Death Cult Armageddon. You could get a wrong impression from the videos that the band spent more time on makeup and stage clothes design than writing songs, but don't worry, this album has a lot of their best symphonic black metal stuff. The music is more coherent and less progressive. I fully understand if some old fans don't like this album and describe it as too polished. It was a nice touch, therefore, to add Bathory's primitive Satan My Master as bonus track in the end, because it demonstrates Dimmu Borgir didn't forget about their roots. The songs also worked great live. I still got my ticket from the tour in 2003. I'm recording this close to an airport today. I hope you don't hear too much of the planes in the background taking off. Anyhow, in an interview with Deftone magazine, Silinos confessed Dimmu Borgir was switching to English on their third album to open up for a bigger record company. But on the other hand, he said the Norwegian lyrics they used before had lost their atmosphere because more and more bands started singing in Norwegian at the time. Enthrone Darkness Triumphant was an easy choice for number one because it was such a jump after their beginnings, while not showing some problems of the later releases yet. Morning Palace became their signature tune. Among my favorite songs are also Entrance and Tormentor of Christian Souls. Dimmu Borgir once tempted me to play a nasty prank on somebody. When we filmed the Dimmu gig at the Wacken Festival 97, you'll find some footage of that on my channel, we had a young trainee in our camera team named Christine. She was like 17 or something. She spotted the t-shirts Dimmu had on sale saying "Cunt Hunters of the Night" and completely innocently asked me what that means. Nobody had ever taught her the meaning of that four-letter word at the beginning. So naughty me replied, "You have a backstage pass, why don't you go and ask the band about it?" 10 minutes later she returned with a glowing red face and just said, "They explained it to me." Mind you, some other Norwegian black metal bands I met at the time were difficult to get along with, like Gorgoroth, for instance. The Dimmu guys were much easier, more rock and roll characters with a sense of humor. Nobody else ever covered me with more blood sprayed off the stage, but I forgive them. Good night.